Yes, so in this episode, what we're going to do is to integrate Amazon Lex with our flow. So what I'm first going to do is to take a look at our flow and then we will see where the changes is going to come in. So currently for our flow, once you come in there and then we do all our checks and all that, this is the menu option we are currently playing. So currently we are saying that to check on an order or shipping, press 1. For returns or refunds, press 2. And we are giving some 4 other options, right? Currently, what we are doing is we are working with DTMF. So what we are going to do is to try and then allow callers to be able to provide in their speech. So they call in and then instead of them pressing on their touch phone, if they want to speak, they can speak and then the system will capture that input. So what we are going to do is pretty much is going to build this using Lex. So we will just look for Amazon Lex, or you can search for Lex, and then once you come in there, we are going to create our bot. So for this, I'm just going to create it from a blank Lex bot. So I'm just going to call it ShopEasy. That's the name of our Lex bot. Then I will select this option. I can enable login. Then Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. I'm just going to select no for this. And I'll click on next. Now on this page, this is where you select the language. So Lex supports a whole range of languages that you can play with. But for this, you are going to work with English US, and then the voice, I'm going to probably select Matthew.
Hello, my name is Matthew. Let me know how I can assist you.
I'll leave everything as default for now, and then I'll click on done. So now our Lex bot is ready. In Lex, there are key things that we work with. One of the crucial ones is something referenced as intent. As the name implies, it represents an action, right? An intent, something you want to do. So looking at our contact flow, what we seek to do is that when people call in, the intent we are currently soliciting from them is for either for them to check their order, for them to speak to our AI agent, for them to request for refunds and things like that. So what I'm going to do in my Lex page is that looking at our menu options, I'm going to create a couple of intents and then we'll work with. So the first one is I'm going to have it as my shipping intent. So I'm going to call my intent shipping. And for each intent, there is something referenced as an utterance. An utterance is pretty much what the person is going to say or what the person is going to speak forward. So if the person comes in and the person says anything around shipping or ship, so all that I'm doing is that I want to check on my order or something like that. So I just want to get the possibilities of some of the things that a caller can say, right, as their utterance if they want to hit this intent. So for example, I have this TV and then I'm going to try and do something. Because currently our prompt says to check an order or shipping, press 1. What I'm going to do is that when someone comes in, I'll modify my prompt so that when they say 1 or when they press 1, I still want to hit this same intent, this same shipping intent. So this is going to be my first intent. I'll click on save intent. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to come back. Then I'm going to add a new intent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create multiple intent depending on our use cases. So the second one is we have returns and refunds. So I'm going to pick this. So the next intent I'm going to call it as refunds. So the utterance I want to capture in here, probably when someone say return, when they say refund, I want refund. Or if they press 2, I'll say 2. So in certain instances, what you could have done is to separate. There are better ways of handling these DTMF and Lex inputs all together. But because this is a quick tutorial, I just want you guys to see how Lex in itself works, and then you can play with it per your use case. So I have 2 intents. Now, anytime you build an intent in Lex or you make any changes to your Lex bot, there is one crucial thing you have to do. What you do is that you build your Lex bot. So I'm going to build it. Now that my Lex bot is built, I can easily test to see that my intents are working. If someone comes in and person says refund, what will happen? Clearly, intent refund fulfilled. So it means you come in and then you do this and then the intent in being hit. If say I come in and I do 2, you're still hitting the right intent. So this is a very simple Lex bot. You can add your own intents, add your own utterances, and then do some fancy stuff. So one simple thing I can probably say is when someone comes in and then the person hits my refund, if I have say a follow-up questions to the person, I can enable all those things here, confirmation, I can add them as fulfillment, and then this thing will work fine. So once they come in and then they say it's, say if they say this, just to confirm, you would like to, let me do just to confirm. Sorry, no, this is not confirmation. So let me do a fulfillment message very rapidly. All right. Wait as we begin to process your request. This doesn't really fit in well, but at least I want you guys to see how this fulfillment hook works. So once I do it and I save and I build my Lex bot. So there are so much you can do with this. I have a video on Lex on my channel, and I'll be getting a much in-depth video too coming up shortly that you can check it out. So if I test again, if I do refund, all right, wait as you begin to process. So you see, it's giving me the fulfillment message I added, right? There are a lot of things you can do with Lex. Lex is very fancy. So what I'm going to do now is, in production, what you'd have done is to create an alias, right, that you integrate with your Amazon Connect instance, and then after deploying any version, you associate with it. Or for test purposes, you can have your test alias and then integrate that with your Connect instance, then go. If you want to create your own alias, you just click on alias. So for example, if I want a live alias, I'll have this. And then I'll select, if I had other versions, I'll select it. But currently I have just the draft version, so this is fine. If I want to create another version, I just come in here. Come to both versions, create version. Then I'll create. So what it will do is that it will create a version based off the current draft that we have. So now if I come to my alias, select my live alias, I can associate a version of my Lex bot, right? So that allows you to have different versions of your Lex bot, and then you can play with it. That's just by the way. So quickly, what I'm going to do is, now that my Lex bot is ready, if I want to integrate this with my Amazon Connect workflow, what I'll do is that I'll come to my Amazon Connect page, the instance page, look for flows, then I'll associate my Lex. So I'll look for my Lex bot. So this is the ShopEasy Lex bot. For now, I'm just going to use the test bot alias, and then I'll click on add Lex bot. Now that my Lex bot is added, the reason why we did this is this. If you don't add your Lex to your Amazon Connect instance itself, you can't work with it inside your flow. So I'll come back to my flow, and I'm going to quickly do something so I don't waste so much time, and then we will see the difference. So I'm just going to duplicate this now. So it's the same block, so you can just copy and paste it. So our message, I'm going to change it slightly. To check on an order or shipping, press, let me change the prompt and say shipping, you let me do it this way so that it's kind of very simple. To check on your order, say shipping. To check on your refund, let me do say refund. This is just a simple prompt. Press 3 to speak to our AI assistant. Okay, for anything else, press 3 to speak to AI. Let me leave it for now. I won't want to make a lot of changes. What I'm going to do is that now, instead of DTMF, I'm going to select Amazon Lex. Then I'll select this. Okay, good, confirm. And then if you can see, now I have my Lex bot. So this here the trick is. Now, after I've selected my DTMF, what I'm going to do is now is to enter my intents. So right, so one of the intents I had was shipping. Please ensure the spelling here is the same as you have in your Lex bot, else you're going to have an error. So to be Sure, let me just come in. However you spelled it. So one is shipping, the other one is refunds. Okay, so if you have other ones too, you can add them. Or let me add fallback. So fallback intent is pretty much an intent which gets caught or which is invoked when none of your intents are invoked, right? So it's more like your fallback as the name implies. So let me select it, confirm, and then what I'm going to do is that now if they say shipping, I just want to go back to my shipping route. Refunds, and then whether fallback or default. In certain instances, if I didn't add a fallback intent, would have got that as part of the default route, so that's fine. Let me just do this and then connect the rest to this. So this is just a very simple flow, so we don't waste so much time on this. Okay. Now, let's then connect this to this. So I'm connecting, instead of connecting to my DTML block, I could have done the changes in this block itself, but I just want you guys to see the difference. That's why. So now everything is connected to this block. I'm just going to publish my flow. Then we'll do a quick test. So now back to my number.
Welcome back to ShopEasy, Kobina. It's great to hear from you again. To check on an order or shipping, say shipping. For returns or refunds, say refund. For anything else, press... Alright, wait, as we begin to process your request. Your current position in queue...
Good. So what happened was that I called into the line, right? And then it came in here, went through this route, and then I said a refund, and then you heard a message. That was the confirmation message that we added in there. So this is how simple you can add legs to your flow. So from this point on, if you have other menu options, for those of us watching or following along, there are so much you can do based on your customization. If you have any questions, kindly do well to drop it in the comment section, and I'll do my possible best to answer and help you resolve. Thank you so much for watching, and then let's meet in the next video.